Hello, good evening. My name is Kwabena. Welcome to tonight. I want to share with you briefly what I call it takes leadership to get results. Practice it. It takes leadership to get results. So practice it. We hear a lot about leadership. We hear a lot about political leadership. Traditional leaders, they say. We hear a lot about religious leadership, and there are even popular sayings that go around on our continent all the time that they say Africa's problem is leadership. Africa's problem is leadership, and almost everybody seems to believe it without us questioning what produces this kind of leaders. So we hear that all the time. But the kind of leadership that I am interested in is the leadership that you have to provide for your circumstances, for your personal goals, for your circumstances to improve, for your personal goals to be met, for your business that you want to do to improve. That is the kind of leadership that I am talking about. Political leadership, yes, they are there. We can talk about them. But unless we give them pressure, there's little that they can do which is according to our taste. They do it according to how much leadership skills, how much preparation that they had before they got into their leadership position. So I am talking about leadership with respect to how to realize your goals, how to build your business, how to build your family, how to build your personal life. If anything is going to change, it will take leadership for anything to change. And so without leadership, nothing is done. Nothing improves without leadership. Even in your personal life, if you don't provide the personal leadership that is required, nothing will improve. And so our understanding of it and how critical it is for us to get results will show the level of improvement that we get, the level of quality, the quality, and even the quantities of results that people produce or people get depends entirely on the leadership that they provided. Leadership is that which is a state of mind that tells people that if it has to be done, I have to be the one responsible for it to be done. That is really leadership. And so it takes a leader to provide the vision and to build the culture for any results to be done. In your business, if you are not conscious of the leadership that you're providing, if you're not constructively providing the leadership, nothing much will be done. Because human beings, as we've been created, as we've been structured, we innately wait for a leader. Every one of us is looking for a leader to follow. Every one of us, in every aspect of our lives, somebody else provides leadership for us to follow. That's why when you meet people and a group of people are there and there's a problem, usually if somebody does not get up to say that let's do this, all of them will be there, because there has to always be a leader for us to get results anywhere. And when it comes to your business, same. If you don't provide the leadership, even if you are the only one person, if you're the only one in the business, if you don't provide the right leadership for yourself, nothing is going to be done. If you're in a family and somebody else is not providing, it's going to be done. So leadership is that magic that gets things done. It mobilizes people for the results. It mobilizes people for the change. It mobilizes people for the future that they yearn to be. So leadership requires courage. It requires courage because there are a lot of things that are involved in leadership. There is a lot of controversy. You'll be misunderstood. You could even be vilified. You may mean well, and then everybody that you're doing it for will think that you are just taking advantage of them. So leadership is tough. It's tough. Leadership requires risk taking. Leadership does not have, everybody does not have to agree with you if you are the leader. And so it's a constructive thinking. You just have to condition yourself that if anything is going to be done and done well, if we are going to get results, if you're going to get improvement, if you're going to get growth, there has to be somebody providing the leadership. And so if you are that person, then you should also understand what it means to be the leader. My good friend said that you are the one in front. If you're going to do something for yourself, just condition your mind that I am the one in front. Somebody else, I am not waiting for somebody to come and help me. I am the one responsible. And that's the way leaders think. And so you have to practice it when nobody is there, and you have to practice it when everybody is there or when people are present. So leadership, without it, nothing is done, because we are all at every point looking for somebody to give us leadership. Every aspect of our lives, somebody else is providing some kind of leadership, whether it's the finance, whether it's the health, whether it's the politics, whether it's the religion, even the way you dress. There is somebody that you look up to. That's why you pick the choices that you pick, the colors that you pick. There is always somebody that is providing leadership, consciously. All our lives, somebody else is everywhere. We're looking up to somebody. Human beings look up to people. And so there are topics that that somebody taught you. The books that you read that somebody taught you. That when you were in the class, there was a teacher. He was providing leadership. They even happened to be a class captain. There is always, human institutions are driven, organizations are driven by leadership. And so if it's not understood well, then there's not going to be results. There's not going to be results if leadership is not understood well. And if you're building your business, the moment you start that business, whether you like it or yes or no, you've pushed yourself into what they call leadership. You have to learn it. You have to learn it, because without it, nothing else will be done. They talk about team, but there's no team without a leader. And there's no leader without a team. And so you cannot just be talking about the team. Somebody has to be the head of something. So if they come for the trouble, they are coming for the head. That is the leader. And so leadership requires that kind of risk, and leaders see the value in people. So if you're practicing leadership, these are the things that you would have to learn. You see the value in people, and you work for the dignity of people. That's leadership. If you cannot be a leader, you can just hold a position, but you cannot be a leader when everything centers around you. You just innate only for your interests. Leadership does not require selfishness. You are not a leader if everything else is about you. Leadership requires integrity. If you are not the one that we can take your word, if you are not honest, if you're not credible, what you're holding is just a position. You're not a leader. And so leadership requires selflessness, and leadership requires honesty and integrity, because there's so much that can be committed to you just because you're a leader. And if your word does not hold any water, then you can destroy so much. Because the moment they say that you're a leader and people look up to you, your words can easily destroy people. There is some kind of vulnerability that human relations have with respect to their leader. So the moment you're carved into a leader, you look at your children the way they look up to you, you're automatically a leader in the house. Whatever you say means so much to them. If you say bad things, it can easily destroy them. And if you say good things to them, they can easily be built. So that position of leadership creates a level of vulnerability for everybody who looks up to that. So if, let's say, you are in a school and you look up to your professor, even if your professor said something that he didn't mean it means a lot to you. And if they praise you and they appreciate your work, they mean a lot to you, even if they didn't mean it. And if they say something bad without even knowing it, you can remember that thing forever. Why? Because they occupy some place that we call leadership. And so there is a high level of vulnerability with respect to people and how they relate to leadership. And so if you're a leader, you would want to hold people with dignity, and you would want to treasure people, because that is really leadership and what it's about. And that's why we say that a leader cannot be self-focused. If you're self-focused, you are not providing leadership. If you are just somebody who just throws any word anyhow without thinking of the feelings for people, you are not a leader. And so leadership requires integrity. Leadership requires selflessness. And a leader is always occupied with the creation of the future and its continuity. You're occupied with the creation of the future and its continuity. So if you're a leader in the business, you're occupied with the future of the business and its continuity. If you're the leader in the family, you're occupied, you're seeing the threat of the future and its continuity. And so they say that African leadership, if you really have leadership, we see that the leaders are thinking of the safety and the continuity of their people, the dignity of their people, the safety, the value of their people. That's leadership. So it's not just that the person has become a president. No, it is the things that he does that prove that this man is a leader or this one is just a political head. There is a big difference, because leadership brings improvement, leadership brings growth, leadership brings results. There's not going to be any results without leadership. So if you see any organization doing well, if you see any country doing well, if you see any family doing well, if you see any human institution doing well, go and look for it. There is proper leadership. That's why there's results. And so when you see another place that people are not doing well, where there's poverty, where there's sickness, where there's all kind of things, apathy, all kind of dangerous things, negative things happening, it means that people are just holding positions. They are not providing leadership. It also means that they don't even know what leadership is about. They don't understand it, because leadership is practice. Leadership is it's not just something that you're born with. I don't believe that. I believe that is something that you train in. You have a good heart, but you want the best for people. If you have this basis, you can be a good leader. So you practice it. And if you start a business, same. You just have to know that the moment you start that business, you have pushed yourself into something they call leadership. And there's not going to be any results if you don't understand leadership. And there's going to be a lot of problem if you have misunderstanding of who a leader is. You are not the one looking for attention. You are not the one looking to be understood. You are not the one looking to be pampered and talked nicely to. You are not the one, all the things that people call as leadership. You are not the one trying to take advantage of people. That is not leadership. Leadership is focused on the results. And usually the results is connected to the protection of the people that they lead, the dignity, the future, the preservation, the comfort of the people. They are creating the future, and that leadership is what is responsible for the creation of that future. So if you see your business doing well, if you see any entity doing well, it's because somebody somewhere is there providing the leadership. Sometimes they may not just be the positional leadership, but somebody somewhere is doing these things rightly, and that's why you see results. And so in our personal lives, the same way. If you're going to see results, you've got to practice leadership, because without that, there's no results. And if you're going to see results in your business, you have got to practice that. You have got to learn that. You have to know that there's something they call leadership, and it's not just occupying a position. There are things that describe leadership. And when I say leadership, somebody will say that, there's a bad leadership and there is a good leadership. If I say leadership, I'm talking of the one that gets the results done, the results that we need, the one that gets it done. That's the leadership. So if you get anywhere and you see that there is results, somebody else is responsible for that. And so you look for leadership and you read about it, you study it, you follow it, you study the great leaders in history. You look for that. You see their heart, you see their mind, you see how they think, how they behave. You study that, and it's always linked to the preservation of the people, the dignity of the people, the protection of the people, and they mean their words. Leaders mean their words. They are not the one trying to trick the people. They are not the one trying to say something for the people to be happy. Know that they are not going to do it. That's not leadership. That's something else. So without leadership, nothing is done. There's no results. There's no results. And if you look at any entity, the difference between the way they are organized, the results that they produce, how things are done. If you pick somebody to head a particular organization, give them 3 months, 4 months, you'll see how everything else is done there. Move that person, bring another person there. You will see how something else is done there. There will always be difference in leadership. because people who are heading or people who become the leader are representing the position with everything that they know, and it shows how much practice they gave to leadership. So if you've been practicing, when you get there, you'll be able to perform well. If you've not been practicing anything, when you get there, you will not do anything. And there are some places that you don't go there to learn leadership, especially the president of a country. That's not the place to go and learn how to lead. You should have been leading before you get there. So without leadership, nothing is done. And there is clear difference when there's a leadership. When you see when the organizations are doing badly, you don't need to sack the laborers and the cleaners and those under. All that you need is to change the head. If you change the head and you bring somebody who understands what they are doing, the organization will start to set up. If a country is collapsing, just bring in the right head, the right leader, and everything else will start to be in place. When they say that, we all have to do something, we all have to lead, so those are good. But if you want to change a country, you need a very strong leader to change a country, or somebody who wants to fight for his people. Same. If you want to change your organization, because people look up to the leadership. The leadership feeds everything. It feeds. It's the foundation of the organization. It's the foundation of everything. It feeds. It nourishes everybody. If the leader is thinking and is in the right position, everything else will improve. Because everything rises and falls on good leadership. So if it's not understood, it will just become occasional and ceremony, that they do. They cut ribbons and they think that they are providing leadership. No, leadership brings progress. When there's leadership, there's harmony. When there's leadership, there's progress. When there's leadership, there's peace. When there's leadership, there's strength. When there's leadership, there's cohesion. When there is leadership, there are victories. When there's leadership, people become better. All right, so you see that there's growth because there's leadership being provided. You see that there's excellence because there's leadership being provided. You see that there is quantity, people are growing because there is leadership. And so when leadership is misapplied, you see all the other things happening, all the bad things happening. You see the corruption is high because the leadership was weak. There's rot because there's no leadership. The moment you see leadership, things start to fall in line. And so it takes a leader to provide the vision. You paint the vision for everybody involved, that this is where we want to go in the next 1 year, the next 2 years, the next 3 years. In your business, the same. People, it could be in your mind, it could be in you. You know where your business wants to go, but your team would want to hear that. Maybe now you are 3 people working. You want to create that vision for them. You want to create that picture for them, because that's what they need, something to work with. They need some picture to see. And so you say that, okay, now we are operating from home. Our office is in the house, is in the park. We even don't have any table. But I can see that the next 3 years we are going to get here. And this is what we are going to do. We will have an office here, we'll have a secretary, we'll have this, you create that picture, because people work with the picture that leaders provide. You create that. We are going to do this, we are going to do that. In the house, the same. If you create the future, they will say that you are talking, it doesn't matter. Create the future. Paint it with your words for the people you are leading to know that this is where we want to go. And you'll be shocked. The moment you start to paint the picture, the moment you start to create the future, people pull out their arsenals. You never know the strength of your team until they get to understand where we are going. And where we are going is painted by the leader. And that's why without leadership, nothing is done. Because the moment you get clear, this is what we want to do, you show them this is what we want to do. You may not even know how to do it, but the moment you clearly paint the future, they all start to do their part. And that's what things will get done. So it takes a leader to provide the vision and to even build the culture that is responsible for growth, for resource. The culture, what you allow and what you don't allow, what you accept and what you don't accept. If they are lying in front of you, do you put up with it, or you tell them that this is not acceptable? If they are treating somebody badly, do you just look at it and smile, or you just say that no, we are not going to put up with that? If they dress anyhow, are you the one to tell them that, listen, where we are going, this kind of thing cannot take there? If they denigrate somebody, if they talk badly about somebody, if they create unnecessary jokes in your presence, if you are the leader, you would want to correct that. Because when people have been with you for 6 months, 1 year, 3 years, 4 years, there are things that they are copying directly or indirectly from the leader. They are copying them, whether you like it or not. How you smile, how you treat people, sometimes how you even dress, how you do your things. They are connecting, because leadership makes vulnerability out of people. Not to be taken advantage of, but which most people do. Because sometimes you can see somebody say, why is this man listening to this idiot? Because of leadership. They look up to them, they admire them, they take inspiration from them, and they can be when you take cocaine, what does it do? You can be on high just because you are connected to a leader. So you virtually live in the lives of the leader, even though you may not have what they have. That is how powerful leadership is. Some people, when people see you are president, you see how they connect. I mean, those who like him, they connect with him. They look up to him, they admire him. If something bad happens to him, they weep, they cry. Everybody who occupies any kind of position in society, when something bad happens to them, you see that people connect easily. They get personal, because leadership creates that vulnerability in people. That's why if you're a leader, you have to know and be careful how you develop the people, and how you lead the people, and how you talk to them, because you want to lead the people who will become strong. They were weak, and when they came across, now they're ambitious. Now their work ethics have improved. Now they work hard. Now they read books. Now they are honest with their money. Now they can save money. Now they can correct something. Now they are clean. Now they dress well. Now they're smart. Now they have good heart. Now they help people. The things that are good in you, they are copying them. Now, if you are doing the bad things too, you are destroying destinies. Because if people look up to you as a leader, it's a tough call. It's a tough call. So you just have to know that if you hold any position that people look up to you, you're providing the leadership, and that's where the results get done. That's where we get the results. So don't just take advantage of the fact that you occupy a position and people look up to you, and so you can just squeeze them and destroy them. No. Leadership is meant to get the best out of people, to protect them, to give them dignity, to give them value, to give them love, to give them, to improve people. That's the essence of leadership. And business leadership is to get results done. You provide the leadership. And the essence of leadership is also to groom people to become like you, so that they can also groom a lot of people. So see the value in people, work for the dignity of people, and work to love people. Leadership oozes out of a heart of love. If you don't love people, you have no business becoming a leader, because you will destroy them. If you have no character, you have no business becoming a leader. If you're self-focused, you don't have no business becoming a leader. If you're coward, you don't have any business becoming a leader. Leadership requires courage. It requires strength. It requires risk-taking. It requires being misunderstood. It requires being looked down upon sometimes. So a leader must have integrity. A leader must not be selfish. A leader is occupied with the creation of the future. So if you're the business leader, 80% of your time you are thinking of the next business, you are thinking of the next project, you are working towards that. How do we get the next sales? How do we form the next partnership? Who comes on board? Who is the next employee that we have to look about? You're always thinking of that, which can happen, which can affect today. You're always thinking which of your employees will just leave, and what backup do you have in place? Do you see that the salary is not coming? What are you going to do? Do you see that they may not pay the project on time? What is it that you have to do to take care of the situation? That is leadership. If there is a problem, they will look up to you as a leader. If there is any danger, any threat, they look up to you. So that's why when there's a problem, you, the leader, must show courage. You, the leader, must create hope, must create peace. You must create calmness when there's a problem, because they look up to you. When people are panicking, you, the leader, must provide that. You don't have to lie to them. You don't have to take their tries for granted, but you must be the one that they look up to. And you will not be the one who is pressing the fear button all the time. You would want to be the one exhibiting the courage. And sometimes just one word will get the whole team to be hopeful again. the whole team to be happy again, the whole team to work towards the future again, because they look up to you. You are technically the God, because every aspect of life there is a leader, and we all have a leader that we look up to, and their words mean a lot to us. There's a leader everywhere in your life. There's somebody that you look up to at the workplace. There's somebody that you look up to in terms of financial knowledge. There's somebody that you look up to in terms of everything. And there's always somebody who's teaching you, somebody you listen to. So there's always somebody who's providing you something. And so that is the kind of thing that you want to do, to practice to become a strong leader, to become a good leader. And so whatever position that you have, if you're building a business, whatever you're doing, if you're doing a business, if you're practicing anything, people are going to look up to you to provide the leadership. And so don't screw them, don't disappoint them, and forgive yourself if you make errors, because you're making a lot of decisions and some of them will go wrong. But that's leadership. And so you practice it on the minor scale so that everything becomes big, you can still handle it. So you have to provide the leadership all the time. Practice it. It's so critical. Some of us may not have known that it was leadership that we were providing, but we were providing it. We probably did not study it, but we were providing it. We probably did not even learn it, but we were providing it. Leadership is what gets results done. So when you get anywhere, then you see a lot of poverty. People don't go to school. People are lousy. People are lazy. People do things anyhow. It means that there is no leadership being provided. If there is leadership being provided, there will be results. Clear leadership, there will be results. And so provide the leadership for your team, for your family, for your society, for the country, whatever if you're a teacher, provide that leadership. Inspire them. The best form of leadership is not the one that creates fear in people so that you can take advantage of them. No, it's the one that brings the strength in the people so that they can live themselves. They can believe in themselves. They can believe in their abilities. They can believe in their own intelligence. They can believe that they can do something with themselves. That's the form of leadership that you're talking about. If your workers have to do everything in your presence, you are not provided the leadership. If they have to see you before they work, you're not provided the leadership. You provide the leadership so that when you're not there, there's so much fired, so much inspired to work for the results. And so if they just the men pleasers, when you're there, they are rushing to do it. When you're not there, they go to sleep. You have not done it rightly. You have not done it rightly. Some people always say that, oh, Africa, what we need is military leadership. I say that that's not what we need. We need somebody who can train us how to live in a civilization. The military man will always say, sit down, sleep, go do here. When they are not there, we do what we want, because you cannot keep people in slavery. People are free, and so people must lead themselves. And it takes quality leadership, excellent leadership, for people to be inspired to lead themselves. That is the essence of leadership. You lead people to lead themselves. You don't lead people so that they follow you like slaves. That's a bad practice of leadership. And if you have value for people, you will lead them to be of themselves. Sometimes they say that, some husbands, they want their wives to be afraid of them. You're not a good leader. Your wife should be so much inspired and mesmerized by your leadership that you're providing. And you should also be inspired by the leadership that your wife is providing. You don't turn people into slaves and think that you're a leader. You don't turn people into cowards so that when you shout, they are going into hiding and think that you're providing leader. No, you're destroying lives that way. When leadership shows up, light begins to be, people start to see light. They become enlightened. They rediscover themselves. They become courageous. They become disciplined. They become selfless. They get the results done. As you see that there's leadership being present. And they are not punished, or they are not coerced. They are not pushed to provide that resource. Because leadership is responsible for building resource. And that resource is coming from the culture that leadership has built in that country, in that family, in that business. So leadership is practiced that way. So if you can build a resilient, a robust culture which is responsible for productivity and character and value for human lives, you have built a good culture for the business. Sometimes people worry so much about how that they have to employ people to work with. You don't have to. Just focus on building a good culture of the business. And when people get to join the business, they will be modeled by the culture that you have built. And that culture is going to be built only by the leader. Because the leader must provide the vision. The leader must provide that environment. The leader must create that atmosphere that gets people to work to which they think is the best. So they work selflessly, they work with integrity, they work hard, they go for self-improvement, they are on fire to get results. They are not the one being lazy, they are not calling in that they are sick even though they are not sick, they are not the one preferring, stealing and things like that. It means that the leadership did not provide the right training, the right culture, the right atmosphere for people to become the best. So when you go to any environment where you see all the vices, it means that there's not been leadership. Somebody has not provided that culture. Somebody else has not built that environment. Because human beings are really the product of the culture that we have grown up in. And the culture that allows the character that we exhibit. And so if they are stealing, it's because the environment allows that. If they are lying, it's because the environment allows that. And who supervises the environment? Who created the environment is the leader. So if the leader practiced the craft well and provided that leadership, he will not put up with that. He would want the best for the people. So if they don't value people, they lie anyhow, they cheat anyhow, they dress anyhow, they stink, all those, it's because somebody else has allowed that to happen, and that is the leader. You go to another organization, you can see that things are orderly, things are systemic, things are structured. People are respected, people are attended to. There's value for money, there's value for time, there is productivity. People are monitoring, stage of work, there is delivery. People are monitoring everything. They go according to the things that they do. If you go to any environment that you see that thing, whether they tell you or not, there is a strong leadership there. Somebody is providing the leadership. And that's why you see the orderliness. And when you see the orderliness, it means that the culture is productive. You can go to sleep, they will work. They will get the results done. And so leadership is responsible for that. Leadership is responsible for that. So when you build whatever business that you have, anything that you do, whatever you want to see done in that family, in that business, write them down. What do you want to see done? Practice them yourself and enforce that in the environment. Inspire them. Don't just insult people anyhow. Don't just talk down on people and no. You are building a wrong environment. It will not get you the results. Don't just lie on phone and everybody is around. You are building something. You are telling them that it is okay to lie. Don't just cheat people and think that they will not cheat you. Don't just do anything anyhow. Build the things that will make the business work. And the things that make the business work is what? Is the honesty, is the hard work, is the integrity, is the treatment you give to people, is the respect that you give to your customers, the dignity. Those things, they are going to be present and they are going to be enforced because there is leadership. Because there is leadership. So don't underestimate the importance of leadership at all. You may be doing them without being conscious that this is what is called leadership. But without it, there is no resource. Without leadership, there is no resource. Nothing is achieved. So if you see the countries that are not achieving anything, it's because the leadership is weak. The moment somebody gets up to provide the leadership, to say that this is what we are going to allow, you cannot steal the country's money. If you do this, you should be punished, you should be taken to court. If you're head of an organization, you cannot sign this amount of money, and they monitor it. Any institution that you see that people are delivering, it's because somebody else is somewhere making sure that things are followed. The laws are enforced. People are trained. People are living in a productive culture. People are consciously being monitored. That is done by leadership. And if you provide that, there will be results. There will be results. There will be results. If you do that, You just go to sleep. It gets to a point, if anybody joins the organization and they are not comfortable and they don't want to change, they will not stay, they will go. They will not stay, they will go, because then the leadership has done his work or her work by making sure that the culture of the organization, the culture of the country, the culture of the family is that strong for us to get the results, And so thank you very much. My name is Obindako. I have talked about leadership. It takes leadership to get results, and so practice it. It takes leadership to get results. If you're not getting results, it means that you're not providing the leadership. Whether it's the personal leadership, whether it's the business leadership, whether it's the community leadership, whether it's the country leadership, any other organization that is struggling because somebody else is not providing the leadership. All humans look up to a leader to do their bit. All humans, they look up to a leader. So when somebody shows up to provide the direction, they will follow. You just have to teach. Because every one of us is looking for a leader to follow. Every one of us. I am looking for one. You are looking for one. Everyone, every aspect of life, they're all looking for somebody to listen to. And so without leadership, nothing is done. The difference in results is because of the leadership provided. It takes a leader to provide a vision and to build a culture for the organization to get the results. To provide a vision and the culture. Leadership requires courage. You have to be a man. You have to be a woman. You have to have a strong mind. You have to be tough-minded. You have to be critical in thinking, analytical in thinking. You have to think straight to be a leader. You cannot just be sloppy in thinking and be a good leader. It's not going to work. It's not going to work. So it takes risk. It takes a lot of things to make a good leader. So practice it. Leadership will see the value in people. They see the value in people. That's the essence of leadership. It's for protection of people, for us to get results. All organizational results are for what? For the betterment of people. That's all. And so leadership protects the people. Leadership, provides dignity for the people. Leadership gets results. The business is not going to grow until there's a leader or there's leadership. So don't underestimate the importance of leadership. And it is not leadership if the leadership does not have integrity. It is not leadership. It's something else. It's not leadership. If it's leadership, there is character. If it's leadership, there's selflessness. Leadership is not selfish. Leadership is not just going in for what will benefit them. If you see anything like that, that is not leadership. That is something else. It's not leadership. Leadership protects the people. Leadership has integrity. Leadership is not selfish. And leadership is highly occupied for the creation of the continuity of the organization. Of the future. They create the future and they create the continuity of their business, of the family. So the leader, the father, is thinking of the protection, where the children are going to go to school, where school fees to provide, where are we going, what are we doing the next 2 years, the 3 years. That's leadership, which provides that. The business owner is thinking of the next 5 years, the next 20 years. What are we going to do? The next 6 months, what are we going to do? What is threatening our future, our existence? What is not working? What is going to work? How do we monitor? How do we get the money? How do we build the office? How do we buy those machines? How do we do the expansion? Those are all the things that leadership thinks about. The leader is thinking of the dignity. How many workers are we going to employ? How are you going to treat them? How are you going to increase the salaries? How are you going to pay this? How are you going to pay that? Leadership is always planning ahead, thinking of it, thinking. The things that are happening yesterday, the things that are happening today, they don't occupy the leadership. The leadership is always the head, thinking. If you look at the head has the nose, the ear, the mouth, everything. Almost everything that the body controls is in the head. That's how it is. It's that sensitive. It's that critical. And so leadership is required for the results to be done, for us to get the results. And so if you're practicing it, you will know it. If you're not practicing it, start to study it and practice it, because without it, nothing else is done. You're not going to build your business. You're not going to build a successful family without providing the leadership. You're not going to build any business at all without you providing the leadership. Whether you are the first employee of the business or whether you employ other people to join you, you have got to provide the leadership. You have got. Without it, nothing else will work, because everything rises and falls on leadership. Nothing in this world is done without leadership. Yes, they talk about a team and everything, but the team needs a leader. Without a leader, there's no team. You know, and every trouble hangs on the leader. If you go anywhere and they're looking for who is at fault, they're looking for the leader. Who is responsible? If you work in any organization and the government institutions come and they say that who didn't pay this, who didn't pay that, who did this, or somebody else dies at the factory, they will not come for the laborer. No, they'll go straight. Who is the owner of the company? When everything does not work, they look for the leader. When there's trouble, the leader will show up. That's the way you see the leader. When there's victory, everybody will show up. When there's trouble, everybody else there will be the leader. There will be somebody who is responsible. That's why you see the leader. When there's a threat, they all look up to the leader. When you go anywhere and there's threat, look at who they are looking up to. They look up to the leader. And so the leader must provide that hope, that courage, that hope, that courage, that future. You must provide that. And the people should have confidence. And the people, you already have that in the people. Because you're the leader, they look up to you. They trust you. They respect you. Because you're the leader. Don't take advantage of that. Those are there so that you can build for everybody. They look up to you. They take inspiration from you. Your smile means a lot to them. Your words means a lot to them. Everything that you do means a lot to them. Don't take advantage of the people. They smile. Everything. They think of you. Those that you even think that don't like you, they look up to you as a leader. Everywhere you are, everywhere you work, if you are the leader of the choir, they look up to you. If you are the leader of the family, they look up to you. If you are the leader of the team, they look up to you. Anything that you're leader of your business, they look up to you. People, if I join your organization and you are the leader, I look up to you. Your words mean a lot to me. I listen to you. That is why you cannot just be somebody who does not hold his word or somebody who's only in for himself. That is not a requirement for leadership. Why? Because the moment you're a leader, people are vulnerable to you. They look up to you. You can easily break them by the words that you speak. So be conscious. Leadership lifts people. Leadership does not crush people. Because it's for the protection, for the dignity, for the success, for the comfort of the people. So the best of leadership you practice. You have to be conscious. Practice them every day. You're doing them one day at a time. You practice them. And you do that leadership. Without it, nothing is done. And yet leadership takes courage. It takes value for people, love for people, dignity for people. Leadership creates the future. It's not leadership if you're not honest and trustworthy. It's not leadership if you don't value the people. It's not leadership if you are not courageous. If you can take the risk, it's not leadership. So somebody else must exhibit the leadership. If nothing at all in your family, if you're the leader there, if you're the woman of the head of the family, if you're the man of the family, whatever you are, the children look up to you. Your words mean a lot to them. Say good things to them. Build them, because they will always remember. You always remember the words that your mother said to you. You always remember the words that your father said to you. If they were good words, they built you. If they were bad words, they built you. You always remember the manager that you work with, the boss that you work with, the words that how they treated you. You never forget that. You always remember the church you went to, the pastor, how he talked, how he treated you. You always remember what leadership provided. If they took advantage of you, you always remember. If they helped you, you always remember. If they built you, you always remember. But leadership is for the building, it's for the lifting, it's for the resource. So practice that. Without that, you will not grow. So countries that develop, they develop because somebody else is providing the leadership. If you see orderliness, cleanness, the jobs, the prosperity, it's because there was a leader. Without that, there is nothing that can be done. So thank you very much for watching. My name is Kwabena. Thank you for watching. Thank you very much.